in today's headlines. Deputy Prime Minister calls for accelerated progress on key energy projects. 9th Vietnam-China Border Defense Friendship Exchange takes place. In world news, Iran and US set for nuclear talks in Oman.
Broadcasting from Hanoi, the capital of Vietnam. VTV News starts right now.
Good afternoon. It is now 3 p.m. local time in Hanoi, and you're watching VTV News. I'm Phie bringing you the latest updates. Now, Deputy Prime Minister Bùi Thanh Sơn emphasized that the Ministry of Industry and Trade must urgently establish a suitable and effective electricity pricing framework for all power sources, providing investors with a clear basis for calculations and investment planning. The statement came during the 4th meeting of the State Steering Committee for National and Key Energy Projects. He directed Dong Nai Province to complete and launch Unit 1 of Quảng Trạch 1 Thermal Power Plant, the Hòa Bình Hydropower Plant expansion, and the Lao Cai Vĩnh Yên 500 kV line by September. For the Chi An Hydropower Plant expansion project, the Deputy Prime Minister called for completion 3 to 6 months ahead of schedule, following the Prime Minister's directive. Now, from May the 2nd, the Ministry of Industry and Trade will become the sole authority responsible for announcing petrol and oil-based prices. This decision puts an end to the long-standing inter-ministerial task force of the Ministry of Finance and the Ministry of Industry and Trade. Given the volatility in global energy markets, this new mechanism aims to provide more realistic, responsive, and transparent price regulation.
Any delay in fuel price adjustments, whether prices rise or fall, can significantly impact this tech-based taxi driver's daily income. Timely updates are therefore crucial for him and many other citizens.
I wish prices would remain stable, but they fluctuate unpredictably. They surge and drop about every 10 days, which creates real challenges for us drivers.
To address rapid global oil price fluctuations, assigning sole responsibility to the Ministry of Industry and Trade will enable Vietnam to adjust prices more promptly. This change reduces the risk of shortages and hoarding, while the new management model provides clearer accountability.
The new system will enhance responsibility delegation and resolve accountability issues. The timely updates will also help businesses respond more effectively to market fluctuations.
With a fixed price, petroleum and oil importers can develop more proactive supply plans to ensure market adequacy. This pricing structure also provides better protection for consumers.
A key change in the new fuel management process requires all major fuel traders and distributors with owned or leased storage facilities to submit quarterly reports on their storage usage and leasing status. These new regulations are expected to enhance inventory oversight and prevent fraud in fuel trading operations.
As socio-economic conditions evolve, limitations in the State Budget Law 2015 have emerged. These limitations call for comprehensive changes to make the law more practical and responsive to development needs. The Ministry of Finance held a national conference on Saturday morning to address this issue.
At the conference, delegates discussed potential amendments to the law, focusing on budget scale, estimation processes, budget approval and modification authority at state and local levels, and budget allocation.
The People's Council has the right to make decisions on specific spending within their locality. But there needs to be a clear regulation that defines what constitutes specific spending so localities can abide appropriately.
The draft state budget law now allows more flexibility in power delegation. However, the representative from Ben Phuc province emphasized the need for clearer responsibility delegation across all operational units.
In the past, districts had finance departments and communes had economy departments. There should be a consistent term.
the deadline for issuing the law has been pushed to May 2025, 1 year earlier than planned. As such, this is a crucial time to finalize the draft law.
This is not just a technical ticking-the-box exercise. It is a once-in-a-decade opportunity to craft legislation, and that will improve governance, strengthen institutions, and serve the needs of the people.
The Ministry of Finance has noted the impacts of the new law on the academy while highlighting that these changes will help achieve Vietnam's socio-economic objectives.
Moving on to other news, to achieve the GDP growth target of 8% or more this year, the government has identified the banking system as a key driver of capital flow. Restructuring the banking sector, controlling bad debts, and improving credit efficiency has been set as top priorities. At the workshop, Restructuring Banks, How to Achieve Maximum Efficiency, experts emphasized that partners participating in the restructuring must have strong financial capacity and the ability to inject new capital into banks. The restructuring must address the root cause of cross-ownership in banks, following principles of transparency and market mechanisms, while remaining under strict state bank supervision. The Ministry of Industry and Trade has set new requirements to prevent origin fraud and tighten the management of raw materials in export goods. Given the unpredictable international trade situation, particularly the U.S. imposing reciprocal tariffs, the ministry has urged Export Industry Association and manufacturers to diversify their raw material sources and reduce dependence on single suppliers. Businesses and association members must also ensure compliance with importing countries' requirements for food safety, hygiene, and origin traceability. Traffic is one of the main causes of air pollution in Hanoi, an issue that has persisted for many years. For green transportation to succeed as a solution, fundamental obstacles must be removed. Only then can Hanoi's air pollution situation improve.
While Hanoians are ready to embrace green transportation and modern facilities are in place, the transition has only begun. A familiar scene unfolds outside the station.
If there are 100 people coming out of the station, at least 50 catch traditional motorbike taxis.
The bus waiting area offers minimal space for passengers. Public bike stations are located 700 meters from the station, next to a trash collection point. Although Hanoi has metro lines, electric buses, and public bikes, poor connectivity hinders the development of a green transportation ecosystem. Passengers even struggle to make timely transfers between metro lines.
The Catlin station has separate above-ground and underground entrances, creating a disconnect. To transfer between routes 2A and 3 at the same station, I must cross a heavily trafficked road.
Systematic obstacles remain in infrastructure, technology, and policy, but in order to fully establish a green transportation system, synchronization and connectivity are key factors.
The transport sector is relatively fragmented, right? Not just in terms of institutions, which can often operate in silos, but also the assets themselves. It's very complex. There's lots of layers, whether you're talking about public transport systems, private vehicles, metro.
Bus passes are now digital. The deadline to convert all buses to electric vehicles has been shortened by 5 years. However, to achieve green transportation, proper planning, infrastructure, technology, and policy must be implemented in tandem.
Coming up next, 9th Vietnam-China Border Defense Friendship Exchange takes place. Vietnamese musician Hoàng Vân's collection joins UNESCO World Documentary Heritage List. Welcome back to VTV News. The Criminal Police Department of Nghệ An Province has successfully dismantled a human trafficking ring operating in the Golden Triangle area. The police arrested 2 leaders who were working with international criminal fraud groups. The investigation has identified at least 6 victims.
2 suspects, Theo from Ho Chi Minh City and Lê Văn Hà from Nghệ An Province, approached job seekers with promises of computer work in Thailand, paying $800 a month. However, they instead trafficked their victims to Myanmar and sold them to international criminal fraud groups in the Golden Triangle.
Our campaign has rescued 6 victims. The scammers operate with great sophistication, posing as successful individuals to gain workers' trust before deceiving them.
The victims' passports were confiscated and they were forced to sign contracts requiring 12 to 20-hour workdays. They were made to call Vietnam to scam their fellow citizens. Under constant surveillance, they face physical abuse if they refuse to work.
I work 12 to 18 hours. We are threatened, beaten, and forced to meet daily quotas.
I've sent the victims to work in Golden Triangle. I deeply regret their action. Those who have the same intention as me should stop because this is an illegal action.
The Nghệ An Provincial Police Investigation Agency has decided to prosecute Lê Văn Hà and Nguyễn Thị Thảo on human trafficking charges. Investigators have identified 6 victims of their trafficking ring.
Border Defense Forces from Vietnam and China held people-to-people exchange activities on Saturday in Lạng Sơn Province. The events were part of the 9th Vietnam-China Border Defense Friendship Exchange. Activities included conducting communication campaigns for local residents and planning a garden at the Hữu Nghị International Border Gate. During a discussion forum, young officers from both nations shared experiences and innovative approaches to enhance their operational effectiveness. On April the 9th, the Ministry of Justice proposed amendments and supplements to several articles of the law on nationality. New changes focus on relaxing the requirements for naturalization. Notably, the ministry proposed abolishing several conditions currently imposed on individuals who have renounced Vietnamese nationality and wish to regain it. This move follows the March 31st meeting of the government, during which officials agreed on the need to create more favorable conditions for overseas Vietnamese seeking to regain their Vietnamese nationality.
In 2018, this lady renounced her Vietnamese nationality to acquire German citizenship. By July 2024, when Germany officially permitted dual citizenship, she prepared all necessary documents to apply for Vietnamese nationality. However, after nearly 6 months, her application could not be submitted. Under the current law on nationality, she was not eligible to apply for reinstatement.
Most of us working here can't meet the government's condition of having significant contributions or merits. If I give up my current nationality while my life and career are still here, I lose all my social benefits like pension and health insurance. So I'm holding on to the documents and waiting.
Many overseas Vietnamese have shared that the current legal conditions for regaining Vietnamese nationality are too impractical. These conflict with real-life situations, resulting in many complications and inconsistencies during the application process.
In many European countries, including the Czech Republic, when applying for citizenship, applicants can only retain 2 parts of their Vietnamese names, last and middle names.
But when applying for Vietnamese nationality, the Ministry of Justice may reject the application because the name doesn't fully match the birth name. Even this minor difference becomes a disqualifying issue.
According to a survey by the Robert Walters Recruitment Consultancy, 71% of Vietnamese living abroad wish to return to work in Vietnam. A major concern for many is that the conditions and procedures for regaining Vietnamese nationality remain complex and need to be urgently addressed.
I hope the state will issue a clear and simplified law, making it easier for us to prepare documents and complete procedures to regain Vietnamese nationality.
A dedicated online portal for applicants where we can register and track the application process would be useful. I believe such a platform would make the procedures more transparent and efficient.
Creating conditions for overseas Vietnamese to regain Vietnamese nationality is a persistent issue raised in meetings and dialogues between overseas communities and the party and state leaders. The recent policy shift by the government and the Ministry of Justice's proposal reflect genuine listening and responsiveness to the desires and concerns of the overseas Vietnamese community.
Now moving on to other news, the 2025 Hanoi Tourism Gift Festival kicked off on Friday evening as part of a series of activities promoting the capital's tourism. Thousands of locals gathered to enjoy a special art performance that launched a 3-day celebration of Hanoi's culture through unique souvenirs. The festival offers an immersive experience with on-site craft demonstration, a virtual reality heritage discovery zone, and a culinary space featuring Vietnamese specialties. This year's event has expanded to include participants from provinces and cities like Phú Yên, Quảng Ninh, and Cần Thơ. Now on April the 1st, the People's Committee of Dong Nai Province held a ceremony to announce the Prime Minister's decision to recognize the Long Giang pangolin bronze statue as a national treasure. This original one-of-a-kind artifact features distinctive local characteristics and a unique design. The statue's significance stems from both its aesthetic beauty and cultural heritage passed down through generations, while also highlighting the exceptional craftsmanship of Dong Nai's prehistoric and early historic bronze artisans. At a UNESCO Executive Council session held on April the 10th in Paris, France, the collection of Vietnamese musician Hoàng Vân was inscribed on the World Documentary Heritage List. Now, this marks the first time a Vietnamese music collection has received this recognition. More to follow.
The collection of the late musician Hoàng Vân, renowned for his compositions in Vietnamese music history, comprises 700 documents, including handwritten manuscript, photographs, and recordings spanning his musical career from 1951 to 2010. As a composer of both instrumental and folk music, Hoàng Vân's work and documents possess not only artistic significance but also serve as valuable resources for research into Vietnamese culture and art.
During the process of reviewing the dossier, all experts also assessed the significant value of musician Hoàng Vân's collection, as it will be an important document for research on the history of Vietnamese music. Currently, there is still missing information for classical music in Vietnam. These documents will help a lot in finding this missing information. In addition, there are 40 songs about the fate of women in war and the vulnerable. Through these songs, people see the gender equality in Vietnam, and that factor is one of the priorities of UNESCO.
This collection marks an important step in the awareness of Vietnamese individuals and families about the work of preserving and archiving important and highly valuable documents.
This recognition will remind everyone to raise their awareness about the importance of preserving personal documents because maybe one day they will become a heritage.
The International Advisory Council of the UNESCO Memories of the War program recognized musician Hoàng Vân's collection for its outstanding value, citing its excellent preservation, diverse accessibility, and multilingual digital platform, all of which help spread Vietnamese cultural heritage globally.
More than 40 artists from the Russian State Ballet will perform the classical ballet masterpiece Swan Lake on April the 11th to the 12th at Hồ Gươm Theater in Hanoi. Tchaikovsky's Swan Lake is considered a symbol of classical performing arts, a ballet that has captivated generations of audiences around the world. Although the piece has previously been adapted in various styles for Vietnamese stages, this will be the first time local audiences can experience the full original ballet as performed by elite artists from the Russian State Ballet. Coming up next, Iran and US set for nuclear talks in Oman. And Belgian chocolatiers present extravagant Art Deco theme Easter eggs. Continuing with our world news, Muscat, the capital of Oman, has been chosen as the venue for talks between the U.S. and Iran scheduled for Saturday. According to Iranian state media, the talks will be chaired by Iran's Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi and U.S. Middle East envoy Steve Witkoff, with Oman's Foreign Minister Sayed Badr Abustadi serving as mediator. Iran has emphasized its aim for a substantive and fair deal in negotiations with the U.S. Earlier this week, U.S. President Donald Trump announced that Washington and Tehran would begin talks in Oman. He previously warned of military action against Iran if the talks failed. The European Central Bank stands ready to act if U.S. President Donald Trump's tariffs threaten financial stability, ECB President Christine Lagarde said Friday. She emphasized that the ECB remains prepared to utilize its available instruments to prevent a trade war and protect the economy if negotiations to avoid U.S. levies fail. The EU Economy Commissioner will travel to Washington on April the 14th to negotiate a tariff agreement with U.S. officials. The EU has previously warned it would respond by imposing tariffs on U.S. tech giants, freezing access to the European market, or blocking certain U.S. investments if trade talks prove unsuccessful. Russia will allocate 8.4 trillion rubles, over $100 billion, to upgrade its navy in the next decade, President Vladimir Putin announced Friday. The changing global situation, emerging challenges, maritime threats, and rapid technological advances require creating a new image for the Navy, Putin said at a meeting on naval development. The funds will support the construction of new ships and vessels for the Russian Navy. Putin noted that the share of modern weapons and equipment in the Navy's strategic nuclear forces has reached 100%. The Russian Navy continues to play a vital role in ensuring the country's defense and security while protecting Russia's interests across the world's oceans. 35 top Belgian chocolatiers exhibited a collection of Easter creations inspired by Art Deco on Thursday, with pieces from architectural reproductions top laser animated eggs on display. More on this to follow.
The 50 to 60 centimeter tall eggs, all edible, were exposed on plinths worthy of an art museum in a chic Brussels hotel, where members of the public could come and meet the chefs. The confectionaires themed their creations around the Art Deco movement, a style that blends nature, curves and industrial materials widely prominent in the Belgian capital. For the exhibition's third edition, chocolatier Maureen Kurtjens decided to push his boundaries by integrating a laser inside of his chocolate Easter egg. In addition to some mosaics and metal-like structure reminiscent of the industrial era.
I try to make some different things from the Art Deco. So I have the cutout of the flower, all cut out by hand. And I have the mosaic with the metal pieces, which is also well known for the Art Deco.
The pieces on display were priced at around €750 each, and money earned at the exhibition will be donated to the Hospital of Saint-Pierre in Brussels.
The money that's been raised, there's 35 chocolatier here. From these 35 chocolatier, each egg has already been sold at €750 each. I didn't think it was enough because I thought we could at least go to €1,000 or more. But all this money, 100% is actually going to the charity of the Hospital of Saint-Pierre in Brussels.
The exhibition runs through Easter until April 21st.
And as usual, let's take a look at the weather forecast. And that's the end of VTV News. To watch our program, you can download VTVgo from App Store or Google Play, or visit our YouTube channel at VTV4Go. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.